Hey, I hope everyone is doing well. My name is Jack with WSOU, and I'm here joined with Carson from the Callous Daoboys. Carson, how are you doing?
I'm great, Jack. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. I'm
Yeah,
sorry I was late by an hour. I was
it's
running errands
it's fine.
because I'm almost 30 and it's what I have to do now.
Hey, it happens to the best of us.
Yeah,
Uh, and yeah, we'll just get right into it. You
cool. Let's
released
do
your
it.
latest album, Heaven, which came out almost 2 weeks ago. And how has the reception to that album been so far?
It's been pretty unreal, man. I think that this is definitely our biggest one. We're kind of having a bit of a moment right now. And our tour is the headline tour for this album is selling really well. We just upgraded the venue for New York today, which is kind of crazy. I did never think that would be a sentence that I was saying. The Fantano review was crazy. I've been watching that dude since I was like 14 years old, so um just kind of nuts, man.
Yeah,
I've been enjoying it, just trying to figure out what we do next, honestly.
yeah,
Um, yeah,
for sure. And
already
go
already
on.
starting to write the next one. So
Awesome. Yeah, and I remember you saying in some interview that you guys haven't really found your album yet. With the reception so far, do you think that this latest album could be the album?
the album,
The
yeah, I,
album.
I I definitely think so, man. Like, this is the first time that we've made something that I listen back to and I'm like, I wouldn't change any of this.
Hmm.
There's lots of parts of Celebrity Therapist, our last full length, and there's lots of parts of our first full length Die on Mars that I would just do both of those records so differently today. And we're working out the set list for the headline tour, and like it's so hard cutting songs from the new album because we just want to play all of it.
Yeah.
We're so excited on it. Like, to me, it's a perfect record. Like, if it as far as it's attuned to my tastes and what I like out of a band and what I like out of an album, to me it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's the album I've always wanted us to make. So and I think that I think that I've said that every album, but
Yeah.
uh
Well, it's
you
like
know
I
if you're
remember.
not, what are you doing?
Yeah, for sure. And I remember you saying, I think it was an interview with Kerrang, could be very wrong, but you were like, I couldn't make this album in 5 years, or 5 years ago,
Sure.
me couldn't make this album
Yeah.
then. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, you now, this little time capsule on Heaven is like this is the album that you would want to make, it sounds like.
100%, man. I mean, like, the when it comes to where my tastes are at right now and where my mind is at writing wise, um I mean, it just, to your point and to what I said in that interview, I believe that was Kerrang.
Hmm.
Um, like, the stuff that we're starting to work on now is like just so different from this record. Not bad different, but like, honestly, like, yeah, I mean, it's a time capsule. Every
Yeah.
every record is, but this is sort of like the first time that we've made a record with that sort of knowledge. I think
Yeah.
that previously, when we have been working on things, like, we haven't really taken into account that like this stuff is going to live forever.
Yeah.
um I think that is something that we walked into this record being like, it has to be perfect. um not in like a everything's messed up and we have to dial in every little notch of an EQ to
Minute
the
detail
exact,
needs to.
yeah. I wouldn't say I was micromanaging, but it was like, we have to give our all into this, um because it is going to live forever. And
Yeah.
why would I keep living my life being like, oh, I would change this, this, and this, or like, oh, we compromised on this because of a label thing, or whatever. Like, or like, um one complaint that I keep seeing is that there's not enough singles on the record, which is hilarious
That's
because
really funny, actually.
I'm like, I don't like it's not the early 2000s. Like we're not vying for VH1 play right
Yeah.
now, you know? So, like I think that it's funny to like, that's just not a thought that crossed our minds. We weren't
Yeah.
like, oh, we need to write another single or like, oh, we need to do this. It's like, what is it that we
Yeah.
want? And we did exactly what we wanted. So, um, I think that in particular was like really, really important to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, and the time capsule thing, this record being a time capsule of this, part of my life is, I think the you know main takeaway from this, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like all of what you just said is kind of backed within the album with the overall concept of the Museum of Failure, which I just want to touch on a little bit. How did that initial
Sure.
concept of like having this idea of this album is going to be like set in, for lack of a better word, it's going to be
Yeah.
set in this like museum 300 or something years in the future?
Yeah. I have been working on a movie about a museum heist for like the last 5 years.
Oh, nice.
I've been writing the script for it for like a really long time. Um, and like I hit roadblocks. I have no idea what the second act is at the moment. Like I've been working on that in particular for a long time, and for a little while I was kind of like, I think it's a concept album,
Hmm.
and the story that I wanted to tell within the movie, I was like, I think that this should become the album. And then it was just like, I think I've said this in multiple interviews now. I hate concept albums, dude. I think they suck. Um, I think they stink on ice. But like, so like the idea of describing what was happening in the story within the lyrics was just like, it just felt so disingenuous.
Yeah.
Um, and like, so I kind of wanted to separate the two, but at the same time I like had this idea of like, what am I communicating within the themes of this script that I'm writing? And the themes of the script were like, your art living on forever, your art outliving you,
Hmm.
your art only being appreciated after you die, your art being like maligned while you're alive, like all that stuff was just that was that's what the script was about. And I was just like, well, this applies to my own life personally. I'm writing what I know, and I should just write the record about my own life instead of trying to fudge this script into it.
Yeah.
uh, so it was kind of just a mutation of that idea. Eventually I will make that movie. I don't know when. I'll probably be 40 years old when it comes out. It's taking so long,
Could be
but I
like
want it to be
post
perfect.
Cowboy. It could be
So
like be better
post
Megalopolis.
Cowboys, come
Oh,
on.
Cowboys will live forever. So post
Yeah.
Cowboys doesn't exist. But it could be
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
your what Megalopolis was like 20 years in the making or
It's
something
yeah,
like that.
it's my
It's me-
megalopolis. It's yeah.
That's good because no one talked about
Oh, come on. You didn't
Megalopolis.
like Megalopolis? You didn't think it
No.
was the funniest
Oh,
movie of all time?
well, funniest movie of all time, I thought, but good
I think
movie.
that's the most fun I've ever had in a movie theater. I
I think.
was
Oh, have you ever seen Night
laughing way
Swim?
too hard. Night Swim. Is that the one? It's kind of recent. It's like a recent Blumhouse
Night Swim
thing.
yeah, it's a movie about like a haunted pool that got like way too much
Nice.
like of a budget.
Nice.
Uh,
Yeah.
I'm blanking on his name, but like some famous actor's son is in that movie.
Wyatt Russell. Yeah,
Wyatt
yeah,
Russell.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's a fever dream of a movie, and I love every second of it.
I need to see it because our guitarist Maddie saw it and she was kind of like, yeah, that movie is bad, but
It's
it's
not
kind of
good.
a really good time. And I was like, all right, well, maybe I'll watch it.
It's like you could not be more dedicated of a film about a haunted pool in your life, and they ran with it. They were like,
Do
"We
you
are going to do this."
are you a Red Letter Media head at all?
I'm starting to. I like.
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
getting into it.
That sounds like the movies that they would cover on like Best of the Worst or something like that, where it's like there's one that me and my best friends watched, uh, where like this doctor keeps turning women into crocodiles. Um, and it
That's
just like it sounds like one of those where it's like where it's like
yeah.
they're so committed to this single premise and there's no there's no subtext, there's no subplots. Like
Yeah, they're just like
there's an A plot and they're so committed to it. Yeah.
they're like we have no other idea. We have this
Yeah.
one singular idea and we're
Yeah.
gonna go for it.
I wish I could remember what that movie is called.
That
I
sounds
might I
I'm
might have to text somebody.
I'm literally gonna like look up after the interview.
There's a key detail in there of how they turn into crocodiles that I'm leaving out for radio, but the second you figure it out, you're gonna be like, whoa.
I'm genuinely excited about this movie.
I gotta figure out what it's called. Hang on.
Good.
Hang on. I'm gonna what's the crocodile best of the worst movie? Okay. All right. We'll have an answer to that soon. I
Awesome.
hope.
We
Yeah.
got this. Moving back to Museum of Failure
Yeah.
stuff.
Please.
Uh, I think that concept too allows for a lot of cool like physical release stuff, and I know that
Mm-hmm.
Celebrity Therapist on the physical release, you had like a little puzzle on the
Mm-hmm.
back of the physical that I
Yeah.
think like tied in with the
You're in
songs and
deep,
stuff like that.
man. You're in
I know
deep.
Daoboys. I know Daoboys, Laura. Don't you
That's
worry.
awesome.
But I was just wondering if, with that concept of the Museum of Failure, you did anything similar with the physical release of Heaven.
Do you have a physical copy of it?
I don't, I'm too poor.
So, I'll get you one, buddy.
Oh,
We there's a map of the museum on the back. There's little exhibit cards that we all the little museum placards that we had on the singles. There's one for every track.
oh, nice.
Um, Repligator. That's the name of the movie.
I'm writing,
Repligator.
I'm writing down Replicator.
My best friend Kyle, who I host a podcast with, had that within a minute of me texting that.
That's
Um,
awesome. Is it
yeah,
spelled like a replicator, but instead of a
yeah,
C,
but
it's a G?
Repligator.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
So yeah, I mean, we have a lot of physical stuff. I have like just I have a lot of I hate to use the word synesthesia because I think that it's like maybe inaccurate to what I have. I think it's probably closer to like residual Adderall schizophrenia, where like I just kind of can envision the art direction of our album like based on the sound,
Hmm.
based on like what I have in my head and like based on the lyrics. I can like fully see everything.
Hmm.
So when we constructed the album art with Sean Mundy, who did Celebrity Therapist, I was like, Celebrity Therapist, I just kind of gave him themes and he created that, circle holding a thing.
Yeah.
Um, the five people in the circle. And when we were talking about this one, I was like, I have it fully formed in my head. I have influences for you. I know exactly what it looks like. The person's going to be wearing the high vis vest that says funeral on the back of
Hmm.
it. I was like, I have all of it. And then when he got back to us with the couple ideas that he had for it, it was like, yeah, this is perfect. And then Nat Lacuna, who I design all of our merch with, did the layout for the record, and it to me it's perfect. And I think that I do like leaving some stuff in the shadows.
Yeah.
So, you know, uh, there's gonna be plenty of more Museum of Failure stuff coming out and little hints of lore in the
Hmm.
merch and stuff like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's I really paid attention to the physical thing. The puzzle on the back of the Celebrity Therapist art is deep, dude. That's
It
I can't
looks
believe you know about that.
I I forget how I remember, but writing these questions, I was like, no, there's a puzzle on the back of Celebrity Therapist. I know this. And I wrote that down and I was like, yes, I did it.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, but I think too, like you talking about like leaving some of it up front, like in the open for other people to figure out, kind of like adds more like incentive, not even just like to buy the physical release, but more incentive to like check it out and go kind of like deeper into this like concept of the Museum of Failure and try to figure out like because if you just explained everything all up
Yeah.
front, it's like what else do I
Yeah.
have to like
Yeah.
figure out with this?
I mean, I'm very much like I'm a huge Twin Peaks fan, and I'm very much like David Lynch over Mark Frost because I think everybody is. But like, um, I downloaded one of the Twin Peaks books that Mark Frost wrote, like kind of recently,
Hmm.
and he's like explaining like the log lady's origin story, and I'm like, dog, no,
Don't do
like
that.
I can't. I'm good. Like she carries a log. That's all I need to know. Like I don't need to know why she's carrying a log. I don't need to know why she considers it to be her child. I don't care. Like
She carries a log.
yeah, she carries a log. She carries a
Yeah.
log, and like um something interesting. Kyle, who I was just talking about, we were talking about Star Wars on our podcast, and like Sam, our other co-host, is like really into the lore of everything and like wants everything to be explained, which is probably why he can't really get into David Lynch. But
Hmm.
um uh like Kyle said something to the effect of like he doesn't want to hear about the Star Wars lore because he knows it's all done backwards.
Hmm.
Um, and like that's kind of why I enjoy doing what we do is because like I'm not doing anything backwards. I don't feel the need to explain a lyric. I don't feel the need to explain like why this is set 300 years in the future or
Yeah.
anything like that. Like I just don't, I don't see a need to.
Yeah.
Um,
It gives
I
more
think
incentive to like go further
yeah,
and check out. It's like
yeah,
if you hear
exactly.
something in this, like a lyric, for example, if you hear a lyric in the song and you go, that's interesting. I wonder what he
Yeah.
meant by that. And you just go deeper into it and realize, oh, this lyric amplifies this one and so on
Yeah.
and so forth. It's like,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. And like there's people that keep asking me questions about things that are like answered within the record.
yeah.
Like they're like, "Where's the Daoboys SeaWorld footage?" I'm like, "It's in the record. You just have to
You
find
just
it.
look for
Like
it.
you just look for it. Like it's right under your nose."
Yeah, for sure. And I guess like moving more into like the music side of the album, I was curious on how you go about writing songs, and more in particular, if you put yourself in a different mindset when writing something like Idiot Temptation Force, for an example, which is this heavy song, kind of all the way through, but has that little like chill section in the middle,
hmm
or like a song like Lemon, where it's a dance pop song the entire time.
I I wish I could answer that better than just like um w- uh, I think that we are I think that we are very much a band that um can do anything.
Hmm.
Like I don't ever want to say that we try to do anything because I think that we always succeed in what we go for, whether it's like we started with one song eventually being like one thing and it became a different thing. Like I still consider that an accomplishment, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So um I wish I could give you a little more insight to the mindset. I just do it, man. Like
For
I
sure.
I I really struggle to answer the like writing process question.
Hmm.
And it's not a bad question. I completely understand why people are curious and everything, but like I just do it. Like I
Yeah.
don't really know how to describe it. Lemon in particular is like probably the only time I've ever like one-to-one recreated what I heard in my head.
Hmm.
Um which is interesting to me because like I'll hear something, I'll hear how something sounds in my head and I'm like, this is cool. I need to actually do it. I need to actually accomplish it. Lemon was like that. It was
Yeah,
like within a few hours I had exactly what I heard. So like it's hard to just like give you a definitive way of how it works. I don't know.
for
These
sure.
things just come to me.
Yeah, I remember you saying something on Shane Told's podcast, where you kind of like write different songs in different ways, or like I think Lemon, you said that you started with the lyrics. So does
hmm
it ever feel
Yeah.
like starting with the lyrics, you kind of like build the sound around those lyrics, or like if you write the guitar first, does that ever like jive
I,
anything? Or is it always just kind of like a jazz moment?
you probably picked the two best songs to like show this dichotomy with.
Hmm.
Um Lemon was written around the lyrics for sure, but like the second I had the vocal melody for each part, I was like, okay, well, I know this bass line is gonna go under it. I know that I was like, I know that that is what is going under that. And I knew that I wanted that break beat in there.
Hmm.
Um, we were in the van, I believe in Switzerland, when I just like fully like formed that in my head.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that it, stuff like that just kind of comes to me.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I wish someone else writes it as far as I'm concerned. Like I'm just a transmitter for it, if you want to put it in sort of spiritual or religious terms.
Yeah.
So, but Idiot Temptation Force, um, that opening riff, it was one that I had, and I was like, that riff is insane. I was like,
Yeah.
I would love to do something with that. Um, and that was cobbled together with the dance pop part that comes in later. The tell me, that part was like, I had that section written for a few years, and I was just like,
Hmm.
I don't know where that's gonna go. I was like, I have no idea what that's for. I just know it exists in my brain, and like the horn walk up with the ba da 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 da. I had that specific walk up in my head for it for years. I mean, since like 2021, I think I had that part written, and I was like, I don't know what this is. I don't know where this goes. I don't know what it's going to end up being. But then it slotted into Idiot perfectly.
Yeah.
That was another one we wrote on tour. Um, and Jackie, our bass player, was like, this works perfectly. Like I see no issues with how this works as a song. I think it's
Yeah.
it makes sense perfectly fluidly. So
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like, I mean, in that case, it's like it feels perfect. Then that spot is like a little breather
yeah,
because it's like
yeah.
1 minute heavy. I always just
Hmm.
describe it as the cheeseburger in paradise part because I thought it was cheeseburger in paradise the first time I heard it
That's
for some
awesome.
reason.
That's awesome.
And then the last minute heavy is how I've always just kind of explained it or
I've
described it.
said this in other interviews, but it's funny that you bring this up. Do you know uh the version of 5 o'clock somewhere that features Jimmy Buffett?
No?
Where yeah, where Alan Jackson is like, I can't help but think, what would Jimmy Buffett do? And then Jimmy Buffett is like, it's funny you should ask, Alan. And then he comes in.
Oh,
Uh
I have heard that. Oh, I've always just thought that like I don't know why
I
I thought you were talking
I
about
don't
a
know if
different
that's
thing.
I don't know if that's just the original song or not, but I believe it's an alternate version of It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Just Jimmy Buffett coming in and being like, "Hey,
Yeah, no, I think it's amazing. I've
that's so funny."
always wanted to do that with like within our own music.
Hmm.
And like it's the funniest thing in the world to me. Like
That's
that idea of like just I can't help but
self-inserting
think, I don't know, but anyway, Shane Told. I can't help but think what would Shane Told do? And then he's like, hey.
yourself.
uh yeah, you saying cheeseburger in paradise just reminded me that
That's
I should execute that idea eventually.
the Daoboys 4. That will be perfectly executed.
Yeah, maybe cut that. Maybe cut that
That-
and time code it and trademark the idea and everything.
yeah, it's okay. Well, I
Yeah,
got it.
for sure. For sure.
I was curious. I think like there are some like I think listening to the album, I could tell you're a Fall Out Boy fan.
Oh yeah.
I think that inspiration is pretty big throughout the album. But I was curious if there are any other like kind of big inspirations that came while writing this album.
There were a couple big ones. Envy on the Coast being one of the bigger ones. I don't know if you're familiar with that band at all. They're like an emo band from Long Island.
Mhm.
They were a band for a little while in the mid 2000s, and then they came back a little in the 2010s. But their vocalist is on Body Horror for Birds. Um,
Oh.
and I would say that like I was just listening to that band so much to the point where it did come out as an influence.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that like between that and Fall Out Boy and like the first Panic at the Disco record, I can't emphasize that enough. Just the first one.
Just only the first one.
Um,
The other ones don't exist in my head.
that's actually not true. There's a song on Death of a Bachelor called Emperor's New Clothes that goes like insanely hard.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes
that
they wake up and they cook. Other times,
sometimes they do. I can't explain it. Sometimes they just cook. I don't
sometimes,
know.
sometimes they just go off.
Yeah. So those are all like the more obvious ones. I'm trying to think of the like less obvious ones. Um I mean, I think the ones that people wouldn't expect was like, are like, I'm an enormous Skrillex fan, like, have been since I was very young. I wrote an essay about why he was my hero in ninth
That's
grade.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
More recent influences, underscores. I really, really like underscores. Jane Remover. Um, and then like on the rap side of things, you can hate me all you want for it. I love JPEG Mafia. I'm big into like the like really, really crazy production stuff that he slots in. I think that's
hmm
been a real big influence over us for the past few years. So um yeah, I think that's all the ones I can think of right now off the top of my head.
for
I
sure.
freeze up at the influences question because I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
But
also assuming that there's probably like a ton that like you don't think about in the moment, and you go back and you go, "Oh, that sounds like Gojira."
yeah, I mean, Gojira, Meshuggah, the Dillinger Escape Plan,
Yeah.
like those are my three favorite heavy bands ever. So
hmm
like there's always going to be like a little bit of stealing from Meshuggah without me really even realizing
Yeah,
it. But yeah, for
for
sure.
sure. Yeah, I get that. And I'm curious as if those like how do those inspirations kind of play into you kind of evolving as a vocalist and kind of getting towards your vocal performance for this album? I would say that like there's some stuff on this album that you don't really do on other records, or like
Yeah,
there's
for
like this
sure.
high scream that keeps coming out throughout the entire record that I haven't really heard since Die on Mars, and I'm pretty sure Die
Yeah.
on Mars vocally is just you going at it.
Yeah, I mean, I had no idea how to scream back then. Like
hmm
I have no formal vocal training. I have nothing. I said it many, many times, but someone had to be the singer of this band, and I was just the one that sounded the least bad, you know? So, the high scream from the Die on Mars era was like kind of something that we wanted to bring back.
hmm
Um, and also like over the course of COVID, I learned how to do like the deathcore lows and stuff like that. So, um, we definitely wanted uh like just more varied vocal stuff because Celebrity Therapist is so much of the same scream tone,
Yeah.
which is not necessarily a bad thing, but like
Yeah.
apart from that, like I was just a less strong vocalist
hmm
back then too. I didn't really have proper technique with how to sing or anything like that. Um, but like I knew that once I got so good at the like pop melodies throughout the course of, there's some of them on Celebrity Therapist. There's not a whole lot, but then there's uh in the EP that we did in between Celebrity Therapist and Heaven,
hmm
we I learned a lot about, pop melodies and that and repeating melodies and how to keep things interesting as far as that goes. Um so I mean like I think it's just like anything that I do where I always want to get better at it.
Yeah.
I always want to be leveling up.
hmm
Um and I it's just been uh kind of a process of dialing things down a little bit. Like Celebrity Therapist, we had like 10 people in the room when I was recording vocals. And for Heaven, we just had me and our producer Dom. Nobody else was in the room.
Yeah.
Um, and it was so helpful for him to like coach me through the melodies, and he was so like blunt with me and stuff like that. And I mean, I think the two of us really found the secret sauce with that stuff. And even with the screaming, with like the high stuff, he'd be like, "You should do a high here because you've been doing the same tone over here and stuff like that." And I've gotten better at all the screaming stuff. So like I am happy to redeem myself as as the screaming vocalist,
Yeah,
you know?
for sure. And it's also like if you know you can do it, why wouldn't
Yeah.
you do it?
Yeah,
It,
exactly.
it's like
Exactly.
the I love Celebrity Therapist, all my favorite albums, and then like since hearing Heaven and going back to Celebrity Therapist, I'm like, why wasn't there a low there? Why didn't he do a
Yeah.
little high scream?
Yeah.
It's just kind of like a constantly evolving yourself and trying to like include little things in the music that you just wouldn't like.
hmm
I don't want to say
Yeah.
expect, but like wouldn't get anywhere else.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, like we always want to make a different record. I never want to make the same record twice. So,
Mhm.
um, just constantly striving and leveling up is always the goal.
Yeah, for sure. And I was curious, especially that your past records have been more of like an overview on different things in the world. They've been more
Yeah,
politically and socially focused. While
sure.
I don't know if this one was your first time writing an album more like you focused and
Yeah.
personal. But what was it like taking a more a personal approach with writing the album and writing the lyrics to the album?
I think that you know, uh being an artist is hard. Being a vulnerable artist is even harder,
Hmm.
and like it's something that I've kind of been like not made fun of for, but just like ostracized for since I started doing this. Like I wasn't ever I didn't ever grow up in an environment where like artistry was like appreciated, I guess.
Hmm.
And like the vulnerability of being an artist was appreciated. Like just down to like where I went to school and stuff like that, and like um you, you know the area I grew up in, like you don't start a band, like you don't the middle school that I went to, it was like it led into a high school where it's like, no, you go to an Ivy League school and you start a family when you're 25, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think that just with all of that, I've been scared to be vulnerable as an artist
Hmm.
and be like a open wound, I guess.
Sure.
I think that this one was tough, and it did hurt to just put everything out on the line. Like,
Hmm.
especially with a song like Body Horror for Birds, where it's like it is so directed at one person, and it is so like I am telling the story of me and this other person, and it's
Yeah,
like it sucks that because of that song, I don't think, like why would like
for sure.
you know
Well, it's also
uh
like if you be personal for one song like that,
yeah,
you
you got
can't
to do it for
really like
all.
you have to do all
Yeah,
of it. You
yeah,
can't go back. I remember I forgot where I interview I saw this, but Matt from Boundaries has an interview where he talks about like his writing process for Death is Little More, and he's like, I kept asking like vocalist friends about like where do I go from here? And they're all were just like, you just gotta keep
yeah,
going. You gotta keep moving.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I'm going through a similar thing
mhm,
where like it's not that I don't know what to write about, but it's like uh, just like plunging deeper for this one was scary,
mhm.
plunging deeper for the next one is gonna suck. Like
Yeah.
it just is. Um, and I don't think it's any coincidence that the one that I went the deepest for is the one that we're receiving the most critical acclaim for, and it, selling the best, and streaming the best. I don't think that's a coincidence.
Nah,
I don't think that you get very far by just hiding behind um you know uh I don't think you get very far by not letting the music in. Does that make
yeah,
sense?
that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. And I was especially curious too if um you were ever afraid of being too personal or if you ever felt like during the writing process like a line was almost about to be crossed or like you weren't sure if this thing should
I
stay
mean,
or not.
I think I crossed some
Oh,
lines.
I
Like that's
agree,
the thing. Like
but
I like, I think I absolutely crossed some lines. So, you just can't be, like
yeah,
you can't be worried about it. You have to just be
yeah.
real. Um, and with everything that went on in my life from celebrity therapist to now, it was just like there was no other way to do it. Like,
Hmm.
and I think I joked in the Kerrang interview that I picked a funny time to not write about politics, but like,
Hmm.
not to sound like Joker fight or anything, but like there's like a part of me that just doesn't think that matters anymore. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
there's a part of me that's just like the world that I live in is the world I live in. And, there's opportunities to change it, but there's so little opportunities to be real.
Yeah.
And there's so few opportunities to be yourself and not be um, and not be hiding behind like, you know, the virtue of someone else's morals or something like that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
uh I want to think for myself, and I want to, I want to write for myself, and I want to you know, I want to write what's on my heart, and as, stupid and uh you know, that sounds like a greeting card, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get
Um
it.
there's I'm still very passionate about politics. There's still lots of things that I want to see change in the world. I got to be real with you, man. I don't see them changing within my lifetime.
It's
So
also
like
like,
I am a little done with it. I'm a little just like, you know what? I'll tune back in when I have nothing else to do, maybe.
yeah, it's also like you've done the political thing. You've done the like
Yeah, that's
viewing
something.
stuff
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
time. It's like to write a album so like personal and kind of you focused, I would assume is like kind of the next step from there. I'm assuming if this album was like politically focused, I couldn't
yeah,
see it a song like as much as it probably sucked to write, I couldn't imagine
yeah.
like, Body Horror for Birds being on there or like Lemon or even
No,
like Country
no.
Song in Reverse.
Yeah.
I couldn't see any of those songs being on there.
It just doesn't make sense. Yeah. I mean,
No.
like, and I don't know. I did that on Celebrity Therapist because that was what was on my mind at the time. And, we were in a particular time of just like total unrest and, just weird stuff going on with everybody personally. I mean, COVID fried everyone's brains. So like that was the time to write about QAnon and the alt-right YouTube pipeline and stuff like that, And this just wasn't,
Yeah.
that's not really what I'm thinking about anymore. That's not the place I'm in. Um, I'm extremely proud of it. I don't really care if people want me to write about politics. I'm going to write whatever I want to write.
Yeah, for sure. I was curious too. You mentioned kind of like writing for yourself and kind of making the music for you, like to get out these expressions. How did they come across writing the features then? Did you write those features or did they write their own and they just kind of like I don't want to say replicate the feeling in the song,
Yeah.
but like how did that
Um,
come across?
in order of their appearance, Adam from Orthodox wrote his, and I told him what the song was about.
Hmm.
Um, how it was about like, you can't take everybody. You have to like leave somebody, you have to leave certain people behind. You have to be willing to be honest with your friends about, their art sucking. So like I told Adam that was kind of the premise of the song,
Hmm.
and he killed it. Like he sent it back and he was like, "Is this too mean?" And I was like, "Yeah, exactly. Like it is too mean. Let's do it." Um so that fit for us. And then Ryan First Vows on Body Horror for Birds was like, I was like, I don't really know what this song's about yet, so just like go for it. And
Hmm.
then him writing that part informed me of like, I was like, yeah, I know what this song's about now. So they informed each other. And then the feature on Country Song was written by me, but I've had the lyrics for that song written for, gosh, I've had the lyrics for Body Horror, or not Body Horror, for Country Song in Reverse. I've had those written since like 2018.
Oh
Those are like
wow.
old lyrics that I repurposed for this.
Hmm.
Um, they were originally Dion Mars lyrics, and I knew what the song was about. It's still about the same thing.
Hmm.
And I can't really reveal what it is, but um like I had those and they just didn't fit anywhere on Dion Mars. They were on like a couple different demos, and I was just like, this just doesn't work. And then the second that we started Country Song, I was like, this is the one. I was
Yeah.
like, this is the one that this is gonna go to. And I had all of those written for years. So which is funny. I think like you can even kind of like one-to-one the Dion Mars lyrics with it and just be like, oh yeah, these are similar.
Yeah. I-
Uh yeah.
yeah, for sure. just side note, have you heard the new Orthodox album yet?
Yes.
Is it good?
It's unbelievable. Yeah,
I'm so
it's crazy.
excited. That's awesome.
There's a straight edge new metal song with Matt from Boundaries on it that
That's
is
awesome.
unreal.
That's so
It's so
cool.
good.
That's so fun.
It's so good. It's unbelievable. They're my favorite band. It's so
All this
awesome.
stuff. And like going back to this feature for a little, I the first time I heard that part, it scared me. I wasn't like just because too it happens after that little like dance pop section,
Yeah,
and you just
yeah.
get like orthodox.
Yeah, yeah. Which I
Yeah.
think that like people wouldn't really expect us to be friends, but like I talk to that guy every day. Like he is one of my closest friends. So I think that people just wouldn't expect like, the uh like the mathcore band to be like best friends with the scary hardcore band. But yeah.
That's so funny. Kind of lost my train of thought for a second. Anyway,
No, you're good.
so the Callous Daoboys have always incorporated like some form of like humor in their music. And with this one being a more like personal uh album, how was it kind of like balancing this is when we should be like funny and like
Yeah.
uh this is when like I don't want to say taken seriously because I think you should be taken
Hmm.
seriously the entire out, but like the more like
Yeah.
serious parts, for lack of a better word.
Sure. I mean, you know, uh I think that a lot of people don't really realize that that's just kind of how life
Yeah.
is like when they're making art, or when they're writing something, or when they're consuming fiction. I think the element that makes something real is the balance of humor and levity along with seriousness, for lack of a better word. I can't really think of a better word, but like
Hmm.
um every serious movie has a few jokes in it,
Yeah.
like there's lines that you laugh at in every movie. um so I think that like within our genre there's this like element of like you're begging for people to take you seriously, and in turn that makes you corny. And then there's this other side where it's like you're begging for people to find you like funny or cool or interesting or whatever. And that also, once you go too far into that, it becomes corny.
Hmm.
So the balance is not something that we really ever think about. We're just kind of naturally, I mean, we're all naturally funny people. Like, I mean, like when people tour with us, like, I guarantee you it's the hardest they laugh. And I'm positive no other band makes their crew laugh like we do. So, like, we're very naturally funny people, and like something like the beginning of Idiot Temptation Force, the Ugga Ugga Boo part, like that is a discussion that we had where it was like everyone was kind of like, oh my gosh, this is the only thing that people are going to talk about with this song. And it's like, well, yeah, maybe, but like also like, who cares? Like
Yeah.
why, like, that's us, that's the
Yeah.
band. Whereas like, previously I think that we've tried to inject it in kind of like a, hey, we've been serious for 2 minutes, it's time to giggle again. Whereas this one, it felt so natural to like, and I mean, people are just laughing at our music anyway. Like the genre changes where people are like, "What?" So people are
Yeah.
already doing that. But life has moments of levity, and you laugh in the face of tragedy, and you laugh in the face of destruction, and that kind of thing. Like there's no other way that life works, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Is there's no day where you're entirely stone faced.
Yeah. I
I don't
think
know,
I think
just for
too
me.
it's like one name's great, but like the name with the Callous Daoboys, if you were to make like incredibly like straight-faced serious
Yeah.
music, it's like,
Sure.
oh. But then
Yeah,
too, it's
for
like
sure.
if the entire album, uh, just bring it up again because this song haunts me. But Body Horror for Birds. If the entire
Hmm.
album was like that tone and that serious, like it wouldn't be a fun listen.
No,
It just
no, it
it just
wouldn't.
be like it's there and it's that impactful because like it sounds like that. It's taken completely like straightforward. It's matched
Yeah, of
around it
course.
with like I don't know exactly what Lemon's about, but like that being a dance poppy upbeat song kind of gets
Yeah.
you in like a cheerful mood, and then you follow that up with the not cheerful mood song,
Yeah,
and
sure.
then you go into the arf 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 song.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like those two things balancing out
Hmm.
that one song kind of like amplifies it more. And if the entire album was like that one song, it's like
Yeah.
it wouldn't be a fun listen.
No, no. It's a varied listen. We want to take you on a journey.
Yeah.
Albums should take you on a journey. I don't think you should make an album of 10 singles. I don't think you should make an album of 10 interludes.
No.
It should take you on a journey, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Um, and I think like in music in general, that genre bending has been kind of like normalized in a sense with like
Sure.
more people doing it. So I'm curious to how you kind of go about genre bending and never making the kind of genre switch ups feel forced or unnecessary. Or like if we're going back to that like joking sense, they never feel like they're kind of in there for jokes, for lack of a better
Sure.
word.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, they're certainly not into jokes. They're
Yeah.
certainly not in there for jokes.
Yeah, for sure.
I like playing with a large sound palette. I like the idea of a band being able to make any music that they
Hmm.
set their hearts on. Um, I don't like when bands are like, "This is the metal album, and this is the jam band album." I hate that. I hate the
Yeah.
idea of like that being like the way that people do things. But like Ween, I'm a big fan of Ween, and like Ween just does whatever. And I think that's cool. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it
Yeah.
really doesn't work. But I love the idea of a band being able to do anything, and specifically our band being able to do anything. And the genre changes are certainly deliberate, but I would never do one just to do one.
Yeah.
Um, and like uh just because it's fresh on my mind, like the Fantano video, I think he described like the genre bending thing as a party trick, and like I get that. Like that's a completely valid criticism, I think.
Hmm.
But like for me, it's truly just coming from a place of like, I think this is cool. I think the fact that we're doing this is cool. Um, I want to experiment with it. I don't just want to like make it as like a haha, there's a drum and bass part. I want it to be the best drum and bass part you've ever heard.
Yeah.
Like I am setting out to make it as catchy as the rest of the song. And the whole like what thing like certainly helps, but like um I that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I find it interesting. I'm doing it because I've never heard it done before. And I'm doing it out of love for the genres that we're implementing. Um, and
For sure.
like, some could make the argument of like, jack of all trades, master of none, whatever.
Hmm.
But like specifically with Latin music, which I listen to a lot of, there's like lots of different types of Latin music, and there's lots of different ways to implement it. I, as a white person, should I be implementing it? I don't really know, but I love
Yeah.
that music. It's solely out of love for that being something that I very regularly listen to, and something that like I want to make. If I could be in a band that just played Latin jazz, would 100% do it. I can't. I'm not a good enough bassist. I'm not a good enough guitar player. I'm not a good enough trumpeter to do any of that.
Hmm.
Like those are the three instruments I play. There's no way I could ever play that music at that skill level.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
I can slot it into little bits of, my mathcore band, which is what I am good at. I can scream my head off all day. I can write a hook all day. I can do all that stuff. And the Latin jazz stuff just happens to be like, something I'm constantly working on.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, like my approach to it is just always like, it's always to serve the song. And if there's been plenty of genre bend stuff that we've cut from songs before. I mean, like um Lemon had this like weird, like, I hesitate to call it like chamber music change, but like it was
Oh.
closer to like it was like Lemon was a Neptune's Pharrell song, and then for like a full minute it became a cursive song.
Oh.
And like to me that was cool, but like we were like, it doesn't need it. Like if we're serving the song, it needs to go right to that bridge with
Mhm.
the acoustic guitar and me just singing. Like if we're serving the song, that's what the song is.
Yeah.
Um, so we've cut plenty of that stuff before. We never do it just to do it, which like, you know, and if it's a party trick to some people, cool, whatever.
Who cares?
It's not a party trick to me. I
Yeah.
I love it. And by the way, like no shade on Fantano whatsoever
Oh,
for
yeah, yeah.
saying that. I think it's a perfectly valid criticism. It's just
Mhm.
not how I look at things.
Yeah, for sure. And I especially feel like yours music like clearly flows naturally well. Like I can think of like five genre bending bands off the top of my head that feels like jump scary to me in a sense. Where
Yeah.
it's almost like a jazz section.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
like I yeah, I don't quite.
Well, there's a there's a Limp Bizkit song on I think Gold Cobra where just the end of it they just start playing jazz like kind of as a joke. And it kind of rules because like I know that that's what Fred Durst likes. Like I know that Fred Durst is like he has like jazz nights at a club he owns. Like he owns a jazz club. I think he's
Really?
awesome. But like you know, it is a jump scare. It's like we've played this, 3-minute song, and then at the very end, hello, jazz, which it's
Yeah,
cool,
it's
but
cool.
not
It's
not
fine.
how we do things. Yeah.
Exactly. And sadly, our Zoom meeting is gonna cut us short by 4 minutes, I fear. So,
Well,
well, we
that's a
laughed, we
bummer.
cried.
Yeah.
Um, but I just wanted to open the floor up to you to shout out anything to I know you have a tour coming up, anything
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. That would be the main thing that I'd want to promote.
Mhm.
We have a tour having across North America. Us, Unity, Texas, Your Spirit Dies, and Crush Plus Plus. We're all gonna be doing the thing. If you live in a major city in America, we will be there. People are very mad that we called the tour Heaven Across North America and there's no Canadian dates. I'll be honest with you, I kind of forgot Canada was part of North America because I'm American. So I don't know.
It happens.
Yeah, I mean, we're like dead last in education. So like you can't really blame me. Blame the education system.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, so that would be what I want to promote. This Ain't a Scene, It's a Podcast is a podcast I host about Fallout Boy. That is returning next week, I believe. And then KSC Eternal Forever is a podcast I host with my two best friends from high school. And it's just a regular old good old comedy podcast with three guys talking. So that is what I would like to promote.
Awesome. Yeah, everyone go follow Callous Daoboys. Go see them live. Saw them live once. It was awesome. Best live show for like a mile. They're really good live, and you should buy tickets.
Well, thank you so much. Well, thank you so much.
Of course. And yeah, thank you again, Carson, for doing this.
Thank you, Jack. You had excellent questions. You're an excellent interviewer.
Thank you.